Well, the Cabinet Office is reviewing the much-anticipated gaming legislation to give the final approval before the document is tabled in the House of Assembly in just over a week's time. This after the Ministry of Legal Affairs and the Attorney General's office spent a considerable amount of time shaping the historic piece of legislation to govern what is anticipated and already proven to be a rapidly growing and lucrative gaming industry. Tonight, Clint Watson tells us about the parameters of the legislation and how the process of regularization will impact hundreds of web shops spread throughout the country.
There are roughly 14 companies operating hundreds of web shops throughout the Bahamas, but very soon, only 8 of those companies will be granted licenses to provide gaming. The others, by law, will be required to cease their operations, although Gaming Minister the Honorable Obi Wolscombe doesn't foresee that happening.
Companies have suggested that they intend to seek collaboration and joining forces and working together. So I think there'll be mechanisms to work it out.
The application process has not been confirmed at this point, but Minister Wolscombe anticipates it will be a straightforward and transparent mechanism. As for the web shop operators, well, it won't be complete forgiveness without consequences. The minister confirmed that all companies will face a one-time penalty fee, the amount not yet determined.
Well, they've been operating illegally. And the truth is, without regulations, and they have in fact not been conforming with laws of the state. And although we are going to seek to regularize now, there is a penalty to be paid, and the state has to be paid for or rewarded for passing the legislation now, causing for the regularization, and also by best international standards, you have to impose a penalty, and so the penalty has to be levied on all.
The industry employs thousands of workers, many of whom have been with web shops for several years and have accrued tenure. Once regularized, the concern among them is whether they will lose their tenure and must begin from day one of the legal operation.
That's a consideration we have to take into account, because truth is, if they've been paying national insurance, then, and I'm sure that they have been in many cases, then you have to look at their employment date from the time they're paying national insurance.
Minister of State for Legal Affairs Damian Gomez says the Attorney General's office has been working hard on the legislation for casino and web shop gaming, particularly in light of the pending debate in Parliament. Covering all of the concerns will be crucial. He explained that taxation will not come cheap for those operating, a key factor in why only 8 licenses will be granted.
They're fairly high fees and relatively onerous taxes, which are borne by the gaming industry, together with fairly onerous public obligations for donations.
Now, it's important to understand that this legislation makes provision for various types of gaming and casino licenses. Once it's passed, operators will have to apply for whatever kind of license they want to have in order to operate. Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.